Hey guys, this is Sean from Designer Grains. The project that I'm going to show you today was a dome in Northern California that we got involved in, and in this dome was an application of, or the installation of a bunch of carved elements. And so what we did through our digitization and scanning of this dome was help the installers with the installation, laying out, and we also helped the people that fabricated the carved elements. And through this whole process, we were able to shave the installation time from weeks, almost a month, down to less than a week. And so pretty substantial time savings. And I'm really excited to show you the elements that we got to produce for this, which really made it a special element in the entry to this house. So let's get into it.
What I'm going to do is use this photograph of the finished product to show you a couple things. There's obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in this entryway. This archway is one of the elements that we needed for that was really helpful to have digitization for. We created this element here, everything around the entry door. We needed radiuses for this large plaster molding around the dome or the walls, the round walls. This plaster crown molding here was existing, but then obviously this whole upper area here with the frames that you can see, where this is the dome area. This is what we'll be showing you at this point. One of the first things that we do, or that we needed to do with this project, is this is the information that we were received from JP Weaver. That's the company down in Southern California that brought us in on this project. Obviously, when the project is started, everything's done in CAD layout in 2D. But a couple things I wanted to show you here is that we have the different size rosettes, and then you can see this what we call an egg and dart molding that travels around the perimeter of each one of these frames. So what we did by digitizing the space, we came up with this information for JP Weaver needed the radiuses for this molding that was placed at the bottom of this existing plaster. And then you can see these two other profiles that were placed on this to add decoration to the perimeter. So we needed to get this, we needed to digitize this whole space. So what we did was the entire stairwell. And so the difference between when everything's laid out flat, you can see, but when we put it into a curve, it starts to look something like this. And this will make more sense here when I go into perspective. So what we did is we took that geometry, that CAD geometry, and laid it out in the dome shape like this. And the way that we did that is through a couple different processes, but these line segments were generated from the scan data. And then we were able to go in and create some jigs that simplified the installation. Here's Jake and one of the other guys transferring these lines to the dome, and then we use the other jig to create the layout, and then subsequently moving on to this guy here. So once we confirmed that, then the other jig was placed on the laser line on 4 locations, rotated, and then those guys were installed. And the jig, I don't have a photograph of that jig, but I have the geometry of that. That's this guy here. So each one of the frames fit inside of those. This was temporarily mounted to the ceiling. These guys were installed, and then this jig was moved to the next location, and the next ones were installed. This whole process, we spent a few days doing all this geometry, laying this whole thing out. But we took a project that had been originally bid at 3.5 to 4 weeks for 2 guys up in the dome and 1 guy down on the floor installing, to just under a week to install the whole finished product. You can see inside of the dome here, we have our center section, and these are the layout lines for the sizes of the frames. Now those frames were generated from from this curvature geometry. And these guys here, these are the sizes of the finished frame: 2-inch, 1.75 inch, 1.4, 1 3/16, an inch, and so on. And the reason this is really valuable is that this is, we wanted these guys to scale from small to large, and we didn't have the ability to be able to reuse any of these rosettes or this egg and dart. So what we did is we took the model. This was one of the rosette shapes, and these guys varied from 1 5/16 inches up to 8 inches. And so working with JP Weaver, we were able to scan these elements, and then create new ones that they were able to mold the appropriate sizes. So on all of those frames, we had, starting out with, I think we had 2 or 3 different sizes. So we took one of the profiles, digitized that, and then scaled those to the appropriate size, so that at each frame, that egg and dart and the rosette was its appropriate size in spacing as we traveled up the dome. Okay, so here we are back at the photograph again of the finished product, or the finished entryway here. The reason I wanted to jump back out here is you see this large plaster crown molding underneath here. The reason I wanted to show this again to you is this is the gentleman that runs the facility at JP Weaver, and these are sections of the crown molding that are placed up on the ceiling. And it's invaluable to have the correct radius, because there's a lot of work obviously that goes into generating these pieces. And there were quite a few rooms that had radiuses on them, and so it was here's another room that had the large plaster profile. That this whole exterior wall is radiused, and then it transitions into this straight section here. So having this information is invaluable to creating a really good product. Creating something that is appealing to the eye is it's very valuable to be able to show something in the 3 dimension, and to get a true feeling of scale and layout. And we were able to achieve all of those elements by taking the time to generate this project in 3 dimension, and then using technology to lay this whole thing out. And so it's pretty powerful, the technology that DGBIM can bring to the table. And if you have any questions, please feel free to get a hold of us, and we can help you with the implementation and execution of your project. Thank you very much.